Did you plant anything to overwinter, such as onions or broad beans or garlic? Well, then you need to be doing this now. Hello and welcome to the No Dig Norfolk Gardener channel. If you're new here, my name is Barry and we talk everything no dig and vegetables. So if you did plant anything to overwinter, the chances are they've been in for 3, maybe 4 months now, and you may not have paid that much attention to them. They've been quietly growing away, but now as we get into February, you want to be having a look at them and just to see what's going on. So we're going to start with our broad beans, and as you can see, they're looking really quite good. Yeah, some bits and pieces being taken out of them, 1 or 2 had a bit of frostbite, but in the main they're looking quite healthy. And you always take a chance when you overwinter things, because depending on how harsh the winter is, how cold it gets, sometimes how wet it is, sometimes how windy it is, will depend on whether you can bring your crop through or whether you suffer casualties along the way. Now, if you look down here, you can see that this plant has completely died, or at least it looks like that. Looks very much to me that it's been caught by the frost. And that looks pretty terminal. But actually, if you now look beside that plant, it's actually thrown up a new stem. There's actually another one coming beside it too. Now, if that hadn't have happened and we had a space there, one of the things that I do always do is that I oversow what I'm going to need. So if I need 40 plants, I'll generally do anything up to 50, so that I've got some spares, because you never quite know how many you're going to lose. And you don't always want gaps. And you can see here's an example. This is one of the plants that, if you follow our channel, you'll have seen me sow back in November. So it's the same age as these plants, it's just been kept in its pot. And it's also been kept outside, so if I do want to use it, it's at the same stage, it's been hardened off to the same degree and have been exposed to the same conditions as these plants that are in the ground. So if I do get some casualties, all I've got to do is pop this out of the pot and into the ground. And it won't be too far behind these. Yes, it has been restricted a bit because it's still in its pot, but it's not a seedling, it is a plant, and you can still maximise your harvest. If you haven't done that, don't fret, because there's still time to sow seed. It's February, it's a good time to sow broad bean seed. If it was me, I would be starting them off in modules, not least because we live out here in the countryside and there are a lot of rodents about here that will dig away and pinch your seed. If you don't have that problem, or you've never seen that problem before, you can actually plant them direct into the ground. But just beware, they might take a little longer to come through. It's still not really warm, and the days are very erratic in February. The day before, we had temperatures here of 12, 13 degrees and bright sunshine. Yesterday, it absolutely threw water out of the sky. Although you'd never guess it with our no dig garden, because it does keep the water there, it doesn't lay on the top. And if you remember, I have said it before, but our soil is heavy clay. I wouldn't be able to be standing here and talking to you today after yesterday's deluge of rain if we weren't no dig. There would be puddles everywhere and I'd be slip sliding everywhere. So for me, I always think it's best to start them off in modules. They won't take very long to germinate, and within a couple of weeks they'll be ready to pop out into the ground and you can fill your gaps. We're here at our overwintering onion bed, and clearly it's too late now to get onions in that are going to overwinter, but there's still things that you can do here. You need to keep on top of the weeding, because spring is only just around the corner, and all of a sudden you start to get an explosion of weeds, and if you let them get on top of you, what you'll find is that they'll then compete with your plants for the goodness that's in the soil, which will in turn give you a poorer harvest. Hello, Poppy. So just look at the overall care of them. If you find the odd weed, it's far easier to get those little weeds out while they're still this small, because they do have a habit of actually coming in between what you're actually trying to grow. You can see that the last two rows there, they are spring onions. They're looking really good, considering they've been here since, what, mid-October? I'm quite pleased with that. They look really good. We should be harvesting them in a couple of months' time, sometime in April. And we'll just be taking, they're planted in bunches, as you can see. And as and when we want them, we'll pull the biggest one, leave the others behind to grow on, and we just keep doing that for each little module of onions. And they'll see us through the April and May period and into June, when these will then start to bulb up and we get some bulbed onions. The other thing, what I will mention while I am just here, you can probably see the cabbages that are here. I haven't got too many left now, but it's also important that you give them a little bit of maintenance. I've already been round and done those, unfortunately, but essentially you're taking off the leaves that are no longer doing the plant any good. They may have been munched at by some slugs. You know, they may have got some wind chill damage and gone brown, or they may have simply just gone yellow and they're no longer doing the plant any good. Keeps the plant tidy, makes it better and easier for you to harvest, but it will also cut down on the amount of slugs you do get, because the more debris that's lying about, the more they come into play. That's their role in the garden, to come and tidy everything up, but also have themselves a meal. So you join us here, and in this strip of land, this is where we planted our shallots and our garlic, all of which went in last October, at mid-October, the same as the other vegetables that we've been looking at. Now, just as a note, you can see these shallots are growing away really nicely. It's not too late to plant shallots. You can still plant them. It just means that your harvest will be later than ours. And we like to be as productive as we can with our garden to get as many harvests out of the piece of land that we have available. So they will harvest towards the end of June, the garlic and the shallots. They can then come out, and it still gives us time to use this piece of land to grow something else. Now, I can see that the gazelle, which are the ones on this side here, they've actually all come through and they're growing away. The Jamor, 99% success rate. If you look here, this one just hasn't managed to get itself going for whatever reason. And by the way, these bulbs, these are bulbs that we saved from last year's harvest of our shallots. So again, much like with the broad beans, and as I said earlier, it's still not too late to actually plant your shallots. Now I can either just take that out and accept what I've got, be absolutely nothing wrong there, because these shallots, once they divide, will have anything from 6 to 8 bulbs. And there are what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So you can do the maths yourselves and you'll see how many shallots we will get per plant. Now, if you do these jobs that we've talked about today, keep on top of things, you can maximise your harvest, because you're taking the weeds out as you go along, getting on top of them this early in the year, because there will be an explosion once the warmer weather gets here, when March gets here. And as I say, you can plug any gaps that you've got by making another planting, whether it be broad beans, even garlic. Garlic can still go in now this month. It's just going to harvest that little bit later. The choice is absolutely yours, but these are the things that I do. So I hope you've enjoyed this video today. If you have, please leave us a like. We'd love you to subscribe to our channel, and in that way you'll be able to watch all of our future content, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video.